Hai, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Me and my partner, Nurshafina binti Ahmad Sofian and Ummahatul Hamimah binti Yatim are going to present our part which is operational definition. It is one of the subtopics in chapter 1, the chapter of introduction in research. This is especially created for GRU60104 Research in Education. Actually, operational definition is the last part of chapter 1 before going to the chapter 2 and literature review. Later, on the next slide, I will explain more on what are the difference between literature review and operational definition. So let's go through to the meaning of operational definition. So what is operational definition? The meaning itself is the articulation of operationalization, or we could say a statement of the procedure used in defining the terms of a process. Since the degree of operationalization can vary itself, it can result in a more or less operational definition. The procedure included in the definition should be repeatable by anyone or at least by peers. Operationalize means to put into operation. Operational definitions are also used to define system states in the term of a specific, publicly accessible process of preparation or validation testing which is repeatable at will. It is tend to be clear and concise detailed data definition of a measure when applied to data collection. The need for operational definition is fundamental, or we could say it is important when collecting all types of data. It is particularly important when a decision is being made about whether something is correct or incorrect, or when a visual check is being made where there is a room for confusion. Confusion means by the act of confusing. People tend to debate things when they are in confusion, so there is a need of doing operational definition in helping researchers making their ways to understand their research. Some researchers might say it is quite similar to literature review. The question is, what are the differences between operational definition and literature review and how to differentiate them? Literature review is a text of a scholarly paper or secondary sources which includes the current knowledge, including substantive findings, as well as the theoretical methodological contributor to a particular topic, while operational definition is focusing more on the interpretation of a certain data measurement, or we would say the statement of procedure used in defining terms of a process. For somebody who might say literature review is similar to operational definition, it is actually no, it's not similar. It is actually two different things we need to know. Before making a real operational definition, we must know on what are the elements needed in operational definition. Let's move to the title. What are the elements of operational definition? Supposed to be, there are three things in operational definition. First is from other citation or reference, followed by self-explanation, focusing on the content of the research, and lastly, the example of table or data based on other reference if it is necessary. Need to look at the below. There are three pictures to describe the elements of operational definition. The first one, I put the books so that it could picture other citation or reference from other researcher. In the middle, there are a doodle of me for the second point for self-explanation, focus on the content. And the last one is a picture of a chart For example of table data based on other reference. These are the minimum elements needed in a operational definition mostly used by the researcher. Other citation or reference are actually a quote or a sentence of other researcher explain about the term we need to measure. The sentence that can be found in their published journal and article explaining about the term in their perspective. Other researchers might think and describe the operational definition differently from our explanation. So we might need to put it into operational definition to describe more of the term. While self-explanation is actually our view, measurement of the term, which will be explained by Uma in the next slide. She will explain on how to create the operational definition. Usually, we will interpret the data in a way we will understand the content. It might be different from the other citation but still correlate with the topic. Lastly, we might need to add some example of table or data based on other reference if necessary. Some other researcher already put the data into their research, so we might need to take the data into our operational definition. An example of self-explanation of operational definition of the term weight of an object operationalized to a degree would be the following. Weight is the number that appeared when the object is placed on the weighing scale. The data is needed when we want to prove that our research or our operational definition is suitable for the topic. Don't forget to put the researcher's name who create the data so that later we can know where are the data from to create a solid answer to our operational definition. Other researchers might already have the data at the end of their research and we will take the data and publish it into our operational definition. It is actually needed to support our operational definition in our term. So what happens if the researcher other citation with no data? Like I said before, we put the example or of table or data if it is necessary to support our operational definition. Before we going more to the topic, I would like to explain what are the difference between the theoretical versus operational definition. Use the same example before, weight. Theoretical definition will explain like this. A measurement of gravitational force acting on an object. While operational definition will explain like this. A result of measurement of an object on a Newton spring scale. In the next slide, Uma will explain on how to create a good operational definition, and there are two examples following the next slide.
Now I will explain about how to write a good operational definition. And then after this we will look several examples of operational definition writing. Okay, actually there is 6 things that we'll need to follow to make sure that we have a good operational definition in our thesis. Okay, first thing, we need to identify the characteristic of interest. Identify the characteristic to be measured or the defect type of concern in our thesis. For example, if we want to make a research about social anxiety, so we need to state about social anxiety in our operational definition to make sure that it is clearly understood by the reader. And then secondly, we need to select the measuring instrument. The measuring instrument is usually either a physical piece of measuring equipment such as a micrometer, weighing scale or clock, or alternatively a visual check. Okay, then thirdly, we need to describe the test method. The test method is the actual procedure used for taking the measurement. For example, when we are measuring time, the start and finish point of the test need to be specified. Or when we are taking any measurement, the degree of accuracy also need to be stated. For example, it is important to know whether time will be measured in hours, minutes or seconds in our research. Okay, then the next thing is we need to state the decision criteria. Actually, the decision criteria represents the conclusion of the test. There is several questions we can ask in our decision criteria to make sure we have a good decision criteria. For example, we can ask, does the problem exist? Is the item is correct? And other related question. Whenever a visual check is used, a clear definition of acceptable versus unacceptable is essential. Physically, example of photograph of acceptable and unacceptable together with written support are the best definitions. And then next is about document the operational definition. It is very important that the operational definition is documented and standardized. The definition should be included in training material and job procedure sheets. The result of step 1 through 4 should be included in one document. The operational definition and the appropriate standard should be kept in a workstation. Okay. Actually, the documentation will be our standard in our research. Okay, the last thing is we need to test the operational definition. It is essential to test the operational definition before implementation, because input from those that are actually going to complete the test is particularly important. The operational definition should make the task clear and easy to perform. And the best way to test the operational definition is to ask different people to complete the test on several items by following the operational definition. And we need to watch how them perform the test. And then we need to ask several questions. For example, are they completing the test as expected? Or are the result consistent? Or are the result is correct? Okay, from that question, we can make sure that the operational definition that we use is suitable for our research. And we can implement the operational definition in our thesis. Next, we will go to the example 1. Okay. As we can see in example 1, it is an operational definition of social anxiety. Okay. From this example, we can see the two elements. that we must have in operational definition. Okay, the first element is the writer self-explanation focus on the content of thesis. Okay, we can see from this sentence, the writer explained about social anxiety in his own context, which is stated there that social anxiety in this study is considered as a general feeling of discomfort or uncomfortable feeling of nervousness and uncertain social situation, like barrier in the social interaction feeling, anxiety in new social environment, worries about social situation like public speaking or talking to authority figure, or experience more general feeling of shyness or a lack of confidence. And then the second element is the writer take other citation or reference from other thesis, which is show from the second sentence. We can see from the example, starting from the words operationally, social anxiety is defined as the score of the social interaction anxiety scale, or SIAS, by Matic and Clark, 1998. The higher score indicate the higher degree of social anxiety, and the lower score indicate the lower degree of social anxiety. Okay, it means this example have complete element of operational definition. Okay, and then we can see from the part of writing a good operational definition. Okay, which is we can see the four element of a good writing method of operational definition from this example. Okay, as stated before, firstly we need to identify the characteristic of interest. In this example, the characteristic of interest stated is about social anxiety. Okay, and the writer was explained about social anxiety in his or her definition. Okay, then the second thing is select the measuring instrument. Okay, from this example one, the measuring instrument stated is the social interaction anxiety scale, or SIAS. Okay, and then the third thing is describe the test method. Okay, the test method used is by calculating the score of the respondent to know the degree of social anxiety. And then the last thing is state the decision criteria. The decision criteria here stated by the word the highest score indicate the higher degree of social anxiety, and the lower score indicate the lower degrees of social anxiety. Okay, it means in example 1 it is a good writing method of operational definition. Okay, we can use example 1 as a reference to set up an operational definition, or to write an operational definition. Okay, we can see the next is example 2. Okay, from example 2, okay, the writer also use method same as example 1, but the difference is there is table of data, or table about grade jadwal pemarkahan. Okay, in this example, the writer using this table to show the grade for PMR. Okay, to measure the academic achievement of student. Okay, the difference is only in this table. Okay, that's all about the operational definition.
Thank you for listening to me and Uma. That's the end of our chapter, the chapter of operational definition.